Hello, I'm Lee Kellogg, and this is your weekly Creativity on Fire installment. And thank you for joining me today. We are going to talk about decision making. And we live in a world where there is a plethora of choices. There are so many choices. It is amazing that we even can make a decision. And I think sometimes this inability to make a decision comes from too many choices. It's like, do I choose option A, option B, or C? Or you look at the row of cereals. Like, good heavens, there's a whole aisle full of cereal. I had a Scottish friend visiting me many years ago, and I took him to the grocery store because we were picking up, food for the week because he was there for visiting, and I wanted him to make sure he had something to eat that he wanted. And we were walking down the cereal aisle, and he was like, how do you guys choose? How do you choose? Just how do you make a decision? He says, there's so much in this store. There's so many choices. How do you make a choice? And I think that's one of the things that plagues us these days with procrastination and indecision. It's like there's so many choices. How do you choose what colored pencils to buy? How do you choose what yarn to use? How do you choose what flour to make your bread out of? Actually, bread making is pretty straightforward, but you get the message. And unless you're like going gluten-free or you're going grain-free, there's so many choices. How do you choose? How do you choose which color of flowers to plant in your garden? Some of us have parameters, some of us don't. And it's that indecision that leads to paralysis. And sometimes it's called paralysis, paralysis by analysis and deciding to you're unable to decide what it is you want to do. And I've been going through that with airfare, and I do that every time I want to go somewhere. I end up like having to research like which airline's going to be best, and it's not even which is cheaper. I look at routing. Routing to me is infinitely more important than the cheapest, because sometimes the cheapest now don't allow you to carry on a bag, maybe a purse. Maybe they'll let you on with a purse. You're the last ones on. It's like the crappiest seat there is. That's the cheapest airfare. Or the cheapest airfare may be that you got to go spend 5 hours in Kansas City. Not that Kansas City is necessarily a bad place. It could be 5 hours in the Las Vegas airport. It's like some airport you have no desire to spend 5 hours in. And truthfully, I have no desire to spend 5 hours in any airport. So I take those into consideration. I also take, like I said, routing and scheduling. It's like, I found a perfect flight. I thought it was going to be great. It was like left at 6:42, gets in at 11. And I looked at that and I did not see the PM until I was almost ready to buy. It was like, I do not want to arrive at midnight. No. And so it's like these choices, we have certain parameters in our brains already, but then things come along that sort of blow up the parameters. And it's working to deal with that decision making and say, okay, here I've got all these choices. I have to eliminate a bunch of these. And here's how I'm going to do it. And here's what becomes important in this scenario. And that decision-making process will vary from event to event. And there's also another way to do it is to what's called Ben Franklin it. And Ben Franklin came up with this, or at least it's attributed to him, this system of writing down positive and negative. So you take a sheet of paper, put line at the top, positive, negative, or yes, no, draw a line down the middle so you've got your two sides, and you start writing all the pros, all the cons, or all the yeses, all the nos, and look at it and see how it's weighted. Are the yeses only a couple, one or two, but are they weighted strongly? Is there strong favor for you if you do this activity? Is there big negative weighting if you do the activity or don't do the activity? Only you can decide that. But it's a matter of giving yourself some parameters for decision making. And, budget may be one of those parameters. And for a lot of us, that ends up being a big parameter. Is budget. Okay, I've got this much I can spend. I had this much in mind. This is how much I want to spend on this particular item, whether it's art supplies, food, whatever, landscaping. wood, you name it, whatever it relates to, you've got a budget. And many times that helps us establish parameters and helps the decision making, but not always. Not always. And like I said, sometimes my airfare stuff just drives me crazy how much time I spend on it. And it's just, part of it's just me in the way I like to analyze the situation. Go, okay, if I take this flight or if I do this, which airport do I want to lay over in? And, that sort of thing. And those help with the parameter, with my decision making. And it also helps in a little bit of investigation. So figure out your parameters, figure out ways to winnow down all the choices that we have. And, and there's this other thing in life. Well, I could do anything I want to in life, but I just don't know what it is. Well, that's because you have too many choices. You're like, okay, I could be a concert pianist, a concert violinist, a chef, well, those all take practice and time. Are you willing to put in the time and practice to get there? So that's when you say, I can do anything. I have a plethora of options. Do you really? Sit down, even just write the parameters saying, here's how much time I'm willing to put into whatever I choose and make it happen. So making decisions can be difficult, but there are ways to winnow it down and help you make that decision. So that is it. Do subscribe to the videos. If you hit the subscribe button, you'll receive notification when I post a new one, as will the little bell symbol down below on YouTube. And you can subscribe to my emails, which will you receive email notification from me personally when I post these and other random events that I will be putting on. So that's it. I'm Lee Kellogg. You can find me, lee@leekellogg.com. And otherwise, I will see you in the next installment. Thanks for watching, and do share. Share the video, share it wide and far with people that you may know who will benefit from this. Thank you.